This was an amazing season. I started to get a taste for setting records, and I wasn't the only one. When I was selected for the 2015 Red Bull X Alps, my supporter Louis Tapper said I needed to start drawing triangles. We hiked up Roy's Peak, the famous tourist hike from Wanaka, and I think one of the best places to start across country. That day I flew a new national triangle record.
Like magic, really, just like magic. So I was playing with him and trying to take a photo, and using my nose to operate my phone. He must have wondered what I was doing, banging my head against my phone over and over. I couldn't get it to go. Oh dear. This is becoming very enjoyable. Well, the whole flight's been amazing, really.
Since then I've often been trying to go bigger. So, what have I tried, and what went wrong? It's true that Louis had sat me down to plot a route to break the existing triangle record, but I went bigger, and I even tried something I didn't think would work. I've never been a good competition pilot as I take too many risks, pushing hard just for the sake of learning. I managed to complete the triangle, but there certainly was room for optimisation.
Then dropped my glider in Rose Hip.
FAI triangles seem to be the fashionable thing to do these days in the mountains, but that season there were a bunch of us out to break the open distance record too. It had been set way back in 2005 by Mitty. He did some really nice flights, like circumnavigating Lake Wanaka, but he generally wasn't as loose as Brian and me when it came to flying deep into the mountains. That certainly gave us an unfair advantage over the hang gliders, who were flying similar routes to this 2005 record by Mitty. Done all the way back on the 17th of October, perhaps it was fair enough that he followed the lower hills. There'd otherwise be a lot of snow. 7th December 2014, I just picked up Camilla for her first visit to New Zealand. Chris Street took both of us for a glider flight, and near the end of the day they spotted Brian Moore and Pete Groves flying along the Ben Ohau Range. On the last glide, Brian picked the best line, getting close into Mount Cook. His record would only last 2 weeks, as Angus Tapper would end up in a similar place, having flown from Coronet rather than TC. I remember that day because I invited Brian to come out and fly with me at Sugarloaf Pass off the Routeburn track. At the last minute I tried to fly there and didn't quite make it the previous evening, but he arrived late, and meanwhile I thought I could manage a scenic diversion to the Darrans before he turned up. Brian also did some sightseeing. I always wanted to fly over the Olivines but never actually got there. But had he left time for another climb or two, he probably would have ended up exactly where Angus Tapper did, and he started 10k's further back. 3rd of January 2015, and Mitty broke his own old record, flying south from Mount Cook. It's great to see some variation in route setting, this time beginning in the Mackenzie Basin, where Amarama Gliding is based. With my own flying, I'd usually just start from close to wherever I was, such as on the 23rd of January, where I had a crack at a triangle but didn't make it back. The route wasn't really optimal, with evening glides into shady faces, but you never know unless you give it a go.
Seems far too early, 17 minutes past 9 in the morning, but this is a good launch. Hot's Hut where I stayed is down there.
A few weeks later I had some big flights during my Volbiv across the Southern Alps coming back from Nelson Lakes. This one from Mount Potts would have been good enough for a national record if I'd flown it a few months earlier.
Not sure what's happening today. Either I get it right every time, or it's easy to get it right and you can't get it wrong. Getting a climb here on the northern flank of Brewster. Well, definitely my longest in New Zealand. Just a bit longer than my one of day before yesterday. And I'll have to say I'm a little bit disappointed because I was flying from so early. Before 10 o'clock I was in the air and I was flying real fast. I just couldn't figure out how to get past here, and in the Hunter I had similar issues. I sort of paint myself into a corner, but yeah, that's the southeaster pushing me out, but hey, it's a pretty awesome spot to be. Louis caught me some time ago, and most of the time he's been in front, and all of the time he's been above, often far above, but it's nice to see how low you can go.
A few days later, and exactly 2 months after my record triangle, I tried again from the same spot.
Richardson's are looking good, alright.
And more of a circle, but I was unable to close with the shower at the finish line. My last gasp of the season, over 2 months after solstice, but I had the time, I just needed to go to the climb. Lots of mistakes, and I tried a lot of things, and sometimes it works. I meant to make this video cover all my record attempts in New Zealand, but I didn't get past this season. It was a busy one though. You wonder if your girlfriend will believe you when you say, the weather's not normally this good.